So next up, we're going to take a look at the palm trees. We'll select on that one. And the palm trees have an animation where these kind of wiggle around a little bit. So with that selected, what we want to look at is what type of tile type we want. And again, this is just a block tile. You'll find a lot of times that the block tile works just fine for a lot of different parts and pieces that are inside of these games. So for tile description, we'll call this our palm tree 1. And for our general settings, this is going to be one that we want to offset some because we want this to go in front of the palm tree here. And we want the top to kind of come in front of it, so we're going to offset it there. It has an animation to it, so I'm going to slow down that animation just a little bit, maybe to about 8 frames a second. And then we can go down and select on our thumbnail. This one had the idle animation and a thumbnail. So it's not required to have a thumbnail, but if you're looking for a specific image to be displayed in that bar for Build a Game, then you can always do a special image just for that. All right, so for rotation and scale, we can go in here. And we're going to set this one up a little bit bigger because this is a bigger tile. So we're going to go up to about 30. We'll see how that does. We're going to turn the collider off because we really don't want to collide with it. And then the other thing we need to do, because this has an animation, we need to tell it what animation we want it to play. So we're going to, and before we do that, we can do center or bottom. We'll do center. Actually, we'll do bottom. That'll be better. And let's go ahead and go down to our tile animations. In our tile animations, we're going to be doing the idle loop. And we're going to select on our idle, and that way it's going to loop on that animation for us. Now if we had additional animations, we could do a trigger enter so that when I enter that space, it's going to play a special animation, or while I'm in it, or exiting it, or at the end of it, or even at the beginning of it, so when the object comes into the scene, it comes in a special way. So you got a lot of options in there of working with just a single block tile. And for us, that's actually all we need right there. So I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to copy those properties, and I'm just going to paste those properties over here. That way I don't have to do anything extra. I can change this to my second tree. You notice that everything's set up where it needs to be set up. And then if we look down at our animations, because we labeled the animations the same, then everything shows up just fine. So you'll actually notice that a lot of times you're going to want to set up animations to be all the same names. So as you can see in here, when we look at our props and our trees, it's an idle, and this would be like our idle or our start idle or our enter and exit. And then in our other folder, it's also called idles. So that way, if you're copying and pasting, it's going to take that name and paste it across so that it makes it, carries everything over for you. Just makes it less work for you to do. All right, so that gets that one. Now the thing in here, I'm going to go ahead and hit paste. That's going to paste all those properties that were on this one. So now when we go here, we'll just call this palm tree. And then again, the general settings, I'm going to offset this back because I don't want it too far up. Now, do we want the player going in front of or behind? Probably in front of. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one back. And this has a thumbnail, so it's automatically loading that one for us. Now, if we look down at our animation, tile animation, it's going to try to load an idle, even though there's not an idle in there. So it's not going to do anything. It won't break it. It's not going to have anything to point to. But we can go ahead and cut that one out. All right, and that gets our tree trunk set up and ready. So that gets us through the treetops and the trunk, and the animation's all set and ready with them, and also using that copy paste function just to make that a little bit easier to do. All right, next time we're going to look at our background images and our little effect piece that we've got.